What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another deck and battle here on PTCGO, and today we're going to be taking a look at Lapras GX or Turbo Lapras or Waterbox or whatever you want to call this deck at this point. But basically, like I said, a deck centered around Lapras GX all the way back from Sun and Moon base set. So Lapras actually has had varying degrees of success ever since it's been released, but I'd say in recent months it's kind of fallen off. It hasn't been as good, I think, as it may have been several months ago, but actually in the current Forbidden Light meta, Lapras actually is a pretty solid attacker since the numbers it hits are actually very relevant at knocking out a lot of the important popular Pokemon that we currently have. So we're playing 4 copies of Lapras, maxing out the card just to ensure that we can maybe start with it or always be able to draw into it when we need to. But it's 190 HP basic, and we're looking at mainly for its attack Blizzard Burn. For 3 water energy does 160, and this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. So at first glance this attack seems kind of meh, 160, that's a nice amount of damage, but there's not a whole lot of things you really knock out with 160, but you have to remember with a Choice Band we could hit for 190, which actually is a fantastic number to hit for, because think of some of the popular Pokemon currently in the metagame. We have things like Buzzwole GX, Ultra Necrozma GX, Dawnwings Necrozma GX, just to name a few. With the Choice Band, Blizzard Burn makes quick work actually of all of these. And Water, just as a type, has a ton of support. We have Max Elixirs, we have Aqua Patch, so we can actually get Lapras up and running very quickly, which is pretty nice. And even though Blizzard Burn is a great attack, we still have a couple of other decent attacks to fall back on at different points. Collect just for a singular water energy, draw 3 cards. Nothing too crazy here, but if you whiff like the turn 1 Blizzard Burn or anything like that, you do have a nice little setup attack to fall back on just to help draw some more cards and get going a little bit quicker, which is pretty nice. And we also have Ice Beam GX for 2 water and a colorless does 100, and your opponent's active is now paralyzed. So this attack, it's kind of okay. I think Blizzard Burn is the star of the show, but we do have the opportunity to at least strand our opponent in the active spot. Paralysis is a pretty great status condition actually, just because unlike a lot of the other ones, it's not based around a coin flip. They are stuck in the active spot unless they have something like a Guzma or a Switch or something like that. But like I said, Blizzard Burn is the main attack we are looking at. We do have a weakness to grass, so we are going to have to be careful with things like Tapu Bulu GX or Golisopod GX, just to name a few. But one backup attack we have in this deck is going to be the new Volcanion Prism Star. So this is actually a card I've been a big fan of, even going as far back as our Forbidden Light set review, if you guys did not see that. But Volcanion Prism Star is 160 HP basic, has this ability Jet Geyser. Once during your turn before you attack, you may discard a water energy from your hand. If you do, your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. So this is actually pretty nice because we can throw away water energies to get back out of the discard pile with Aqua Patch, and also we can force our opponent to, promote Pokemon they might not want in the active spot for us to knock out and things like that. And the attack is actually pretty relevant too. It has 3 water energy to do Sauna Blast for 100 damage, does 20 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Nice little 2-shotting attack, but the 20 damage actually is pretty relevant because, like I mentioned, Lapras GX with the Choice Band can hit for 190, but you're actually out of range at knocking out a lot of the popular Stage 1 GXs that we have in the current format, like Lycanroc GX and Zoroark GX, just to name a few. But if you can get off an early game Sauna Blast, that actually sets up Blizzard Burn to take one-hit knockouts for the rest of the game, which is really nice. Also, Volcanion Prism Star is weak to Lightning, which is super relevant because Grass is a much easier weakness to hit for. Like I mentioned, Tapu Bulu and Golisopod are fairly popular Pokemon, but with Lightning type, probably the most popular thing you'll see is the Tapu Koko promo, which doesn't hit very hard to begin with. So fantastic weakness on the Prism Star as well. Also playing 2 copies of Manaphy EX, so it has this ability Aqua Tube. Each of your Pokemon that has water energy attached to them has no retreat cost, which is pretty cool because if we get 2 Lapras GX fully powered up, we can actually just free retreat between each of them every turn. Since Blizzard Burn does mean we can't attack on the next turn, like I said, we can just retreat for free into another one and continue to hopefully knock out our opponent with Blizzard Burn. Manaphy, we do need to point out, does only have 120 HP, so we are going to have to be a little bit careful with this guy. You could opt to play things like Float Stones in here if you are worried about the easy 2 prizes, but like I said, I'm committing to the 2 Manaphy. I like the option to have free retreat with it, so that's why we're playing this guy. And as far as another support Pokemon, we are playing a 2/2 Octillery line here for this Abyssal Hand ability, of course, to draw until we have 5 cards in hand. So a lot of times, let's say we play a Sycamore for turn and we whiff the Max Elixir that we needed or the Aqua Patch we needed to finish powering up our Lapras. Well, guess what? We can dig a little bit deeper with this Octillery, and also in the late game, it makes us kind of end proof. That way we can refill our hand size if our opponent does hit us with an N. And just to round out the Pokemon line, just 2 copies of Tapu Lele, of course. So a pretty streamlined Pokemon line, and just in general, this deck is pretty streamlined. Not a whole lot of fancy things here. Looking at the supporters, though, we do have one kind of interesting inclusion. A lot of this is very standard stuff. 4 Sycamore, 2 N, 3 Cynthia, 3 Guzma, but I'm actually playing 2 copies of Kukui right now, something I'm just messing with. So Kukui is a supporter. We get draw 2 cards, which not the greatest here, but we get to do 20 more damage to our opponent's active, which is really relevant because, like I mentioned, Lapras is actually a little bit short of knocking out certain Pokemon in the metagame. So with Zoroark, you are going to have to power up a Volcanion Prism Star first to set up that 20 damage, which, you know, isn't always the easiest to do. A lot of times you just need to put on a lot of pressure with Lapras, and taking time to set up Volcanion Prism Star first can sometimes being a little slow, so I wanted the option to still being able to take one-hit knockouts, and Professor Kukui is going to help with that against those Stage 1 GXs. And looking at the rest of the trainer cards, pretty straightforward stuff. 4 Max Elixir and 4 Aqua Patch just to get set up a little bit quicker. 4 Ultra Ball, great at grabbing Pokemon out the deck. And of course, we can discard basic energies to get back out with Aqua Patch. That item card back from Guardians Rising, you attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your bench water Pokemon. And let's see. 1 copy of Field Blower. This is a card I am going back and forth on. You could debatably cut this in favor of a 3rd Brookwood Hill, but I'm just trying it out for right now just to get rid of things like Choice Bands, just to help our Lapras GX survive, you know, a couple extra hits if possible. And the only other item card we're playing here is 4 copies of Choice Band, which might seem like kind of a thick count, but you have to remember Blizzard Burn is really not a great attack without any damage modifiers. 160 sounds like a lot, but you're really not knocking out too much in one hit. So we absolutely need Choice Band every time we use Blizzard Burn to ensure that we can take one-hit knockouts. And then to round out the list, we have 2 Brookwood Hill just as a form of search. In addition to our Ultra Ball, also can bounce our opponent's stadiums. And then 14 basic water energy in the list. That seems like kind of a high count, but it's nice to be able to always have one to throw away with Volcanion or with Ultra Balls, and also increases our odds of our Max Elixirs working more consistently. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the list we are going to try out here. Like I said, pretty straightforward, streamlined deck. Honestly, pretty consistent. So if you just want a nice little consistent deck that can hit pretty hard, I think actually Lapras is a bit of a contender in this format, since, like I said, the numbers it can hit for are actually pretty good right now, since you can knock out things like Ultra Necrozma GX, like Buzzwole GX, just to name a few. So let's head over to the battle portion of the video, and we'll show you how this deck looks in action. Alright guys, so we found ourselves a game here. Our opponent's going to call the coin flip, which we do lose, which is never fun. And here our opponent has some fighting, or a fighting deck box, I should say, and a fighting coin. So I think Buzzwole is maybe a safe assumption here. Could be potentially Zoroark, Lycanroc, but Buzzwole I think would be my first guess. And here our opening hand is pretty terrible. We really need to top deck a basic here. So your opponent is going to open with Lele. It doesn't tell us too much just yet. And we see a Bridget. So this is probably Zoroark, Lycanroc, since Buzzwole doesn't typically play copies of Bridget in their decks. But this is PTCGO, anything could happen. You never know what you're going to run into on here sometimes. So let's see. Alright, so 2 Zoruas and a Rockruff. So Zoroark, Lycanroc, just as expected, and a DCE coming down onto this Rockruff. That is okay with me. And here our opponent's going to have Parallel City. Kind of glad they did play it down, because that means we are going to get a little bit of value out of this Field Blower before we have to Sycamore this hand away. So I guess let's just go ahead and toss all this. Unfortunately, we did have to dump a Max Elixir and an Aqua Patch. And here we have a Lapras, and here we have a Max Elixir. And we do whiff, which is actually really bad, because now we can't collect this turn. And our hand is completely unworkable. I mean, granted, next turn we could just attach to this Manaphy, retreat, and use collect, or we could play Guzma. So we are going to have ways to set up our hand again, you know, at the end of next turn, but definitely not a strong start on our part here. So let's see what our opponent is going to do this time. They have 3 Zoroarks down, but no Zoroark just yet. And here we're going to see a Puzzle of Time, so I'm curious if this is going to be for the first effect. Okay, and it is, which is actually really good for us because now our opponent must not have a great hand either. And nice, we top deck Ultra Ball, which is fantastic. So we get rid of, I think we get rid of the Water Energy and the Lapras, since we should have 2 more Lapras left in deck at this point. And here we can go for a Lele. And I think we could go for an N and disrupt our opponent, since we know they did rearrange the top 3 cards of their deck. But you know what? I kind of want to force them to have to get set up on their own. They probably don't have a draw supporter if I just had to guess. So I rather force them to burn their own supporter instead of us helping them with an N. And this hand is not that great, I hate to say. So we definitely can collect this turn. That is an option. But at the same time, our opponent has a strong energy on this Rock. If they evolve into Lycanroc and use Dangerous Rogue, or even Claw Slash, that'd be what, 130, 160 with a Choice Band, and 180 with another Strong. So, yeah, let's do this. I think we're just going to play it safe. Instead of like throwing up the Lapras, we're going to force our opponent to have the Lycanroc and bring it up. And it's actually a little bit risky going for this Remoraid here because we don't have a supporter for next turn. So if our opponent is able to take out this Remoraid, we're going to be in some trouble. Now, of course, I keep mentioning we do have Collect, which we can fall back on, but that is definitely not ideal. So let's see what our opponent is going to do here. They get down a Buzzwole GX, not a card we see too often in these Zoroark Lycanroc decks, and they also have a Lucario GX in their discard pile. So all sorts of crazy stuff going on here. And hey, we're just going to see a Jet Punch, and that means this Remoraid is actually going to survive, but just barely by 10 HP. So here we can get down this Octillery and be able to refill our hand. We can probably bench this Lapras. That's probably fine here as well. And here we can use Abyssal Hand and refill our hand. So right now we really need Choice Band and Max Elixir or Aqua Patch. Okay, we did get Max Elixir, which is definitely nice. We really need to get this energy and get a Choice Band. That way we can knock out this Buzzwole in one hit here. So we'll get down to Brookwood Hill. And actually, we probably should have played the Brookwood Hill first just to, thin cards out of our deck before this Max Elixir. But luckily, it did work out here. But just a slightly suboptimal play I made. So here we're just going to Cynthia. We really need Choice Band. That's what we need here. And we whiff. But you know what? I still think we're actually kind of in an okay spot. So we have Aqua Patch. We can definitely play this at the very least and start powering up another attacker. And I'm thinking we probably go for... Actually, I think we might go for Volcanion here. Since Volcanion could set up... It could set up some knockouts on Lycanroc GX and also Zoroarks for the rest of the game. Could also opt to power up Lapras just in case our opponent does get a surprise knockout next turn. But you know what? I think the Volcanion's safe. And what we can do here is, even though we don't have the knockout on this Buzzwole GX, we can actually use Ice Beam GX this turn and strand this Buzzwole in the active spot. So we'll do Ice Beam, and ideally next turn, if we can power up this Volcanion, I would actually like to attack with it to take the knockout on this Buzzwole while simultaneously setting up knockouts on the rest of our opponent's Pokemon. So we'll have to see if we can pull that off, since I know I have gone through a few Max Elixirs and Aqua Patches at this point. But let's see. So our opponent did get rid of a Floatstone there. I'm sure they're going to be looking for a Guzma this turn. That's, I think, the only way they can get out of the active spot. Some of these Zoroark Lycanroc decks also play Acerola, but our opponent plays Buzzwole, they play Lycanroc GX and Lucario GX. They might have had to cut some of those cards like Acerola just as an example, but we'll have to see what they have here. So we're going to see an Ultra Ball, okay. Getting rid of a DCE, that's actually, not the greatest thing to have to discard, and I'm actually completely okay with that. So here they're going for another Zoroark GX, going to trade. Getting rid of a Puzzle of Time as well. Okay, so this is actually a great turn for us. Even if our opponent, I think, takes a knockout somehow with a Guzma or something like that, the fact that they've had to get rid of 2 puzzles already without even being able to make use of the double puzzle effect, and also getting rid of a DCE, kind of makes me happy to see. So opponent is going to go for a Sycamore, so we are safe. We are not going to see an Acerol or a Guzma. Here our opponent did discard a Lycanroc GX, which is kind of interesting. I think I would have preferred to see them at least evolve at the very least. And here, okay, we have some options. We could try to dig and hit an Aqua Patch or a Max Elixir, but we'd have to discard, I think, 2 Guzmas here. I'm not sure how many we have left. So actually I think what I might do this turn is just take a knockout on this Rockruff. I know it would be unfortunate to let this Buzzwole just kind of go without being knocked out, but I think Lycanroc GX is definitely the biggest threat in this matchup. So we definitely want to take this Rockruff out before our opponent can actually get set up. So yeah, I guess we just attach to the Prism Star and we'll Abyssal Hand for 1. Let's see what we can get here. Okay, just an Ultra Ball, nothing too crazy. So we'll just retreat, promote the Lapras, and we'll Blizzard Burn. Alright, so for 160, you're going to take our first prize of the game. Let's see, we get a Choice Band, definitely a good card to get. Unfortunately, at this point, though, this Buzzwole already has been pretty softened up, so the Choice Band doesn't make too much of a difference, but we will probably need it at some point. Okay, and so our opponent's going to get down, oh, okay, another Strong Energy, Dynasty Prism Star, and Professor Kukui. So Jet Punch is actually going to do a good chunk of damage to us this turn. So let's see, our opponent is going to trade away a Mewtwo. Okay. Another trade. Let's see what our opponent is going for. That's what I'm probably most curious about. Maybe a Guzma to take out this Octillery. Ooh, and here they have Parallel City. That's actually really annoying. So we definitely get rid of Lele. That's the easy target. But here, what else do we get rid of? We've already gone through... we already have two... I'm sorry. I think 1 Lapras in discard. If we discard this second Lapras, we'll only have 1 left for the rest of the game, which might be a little awkward. This Octillery also has 50 damage on it. We could discard it and try to prevent our opponent from picking off with Jet Punch, but at the same time, we want the extra draw. But then we have Manaphy, which we need for our free retreat to be able to cycle through our attackers. But also Manaphy gives up 2 prizes, and we have another one left in deck, so this is a tough decision, guys. I kind of want to keep everything we have on the board, but here we're going to go for the Manaphy. I don't know if that was the right play at all, but luckily it's just a basic, so we can search it out with Ultra Ball. And here our opponent is going to soften us up with the Jet Punch. And let's see. Actually, you know, I think I kind of wish that we had gone for the other Lapras in hindsight, because I forgot we can't attack from Blizzard Burn this turn. So we're going to have to retreat and burn some energy to actually attack with this Volcanion Prism Star. So here we're going to Ultra Ball. We can get rid of... Probably a Sycamore is safe. And maybe Kukui. I could see that being a good one to discard here. Or even... Could get rid of Choice Band. We'll still have 2 left in deck, and we only have 16 cards left, so we could draw into the rest of our Choice Bands if need be. We still have another Guzma left, so I think this is kind of okay here. So we're going to fail the search. We can get down the Choice Band just to get some more cards with Abyssal Hand here. So let's see. Really want a draw supporter other than Sycamore. And here we actually do get Cynthia, which is pretty great. And we whiff Max Elixir, so that's... Well, unfortunate, but here we're just going to Cynthia, refresh our hand to 6. That way we don't have to discard our Octillery. And, okay. So we get down our other Water Energy. So here we can discard that Water Energy off that Lapras and actually start powering up this fresh Lapras that doesn't have any damage on it. So, actually not the end of the world discarding this energy off of this Lapras here. So here we'll do Sauna Blast, which is nice because we can not only knock out this Buzzwole, but put all these Zoroarks down at 190 HP, which means this Choice Banded Lapras that we have in play will be able to clean up some knockouts at some point. And we hit Brookwood Hill off the prizes, which is definitely another good prize to get here. But here we are going to see a Puzzle of Time. So I have to see if is this going to be for the first effect or the second, but I would imagine with how big our opponent's hand, it's probably for the second effect. They have decent odds of having both of them in hand. So what could they get here? I think actually one thing that would be pretty scary is if our opponent has like Buzzwole, Strong Energy Guzma. That would actually be pretty bad because they can knock out this damaged Lapras and this damaged Octillery all at the same time, which would not be ideal for us. Now the only good thing for us from that situation is that these Pokemon that our opponent would be knocking out wouldn't be very big threats. You know, it would help our opponent catch up in the prize race, but really wouldn't advance their board that much in a meaningful way, because my board still has its core components that it really needs to be successful. So we'll see. Our opponent has some double colorless energies in there as well, so we could see those come back. We could see Rockruff as well. I definitely think Lycanroc would be a good attacker at some point to maybe take a cheap one-hit knockout. Okay, but our opponent is going to go for an N and a Buzzwole here, so very interesting. So we're going to see a Choice Band, Strong Energy, and they do have the Guzma. Okay, so our opponent did have the Wombo combo I just mentioned. So let's see. They are going to jump up to 3 prizes after this turn, but you know what? I think we're going to be okay because we have this Brookwood Hill. We can bounce their Peril City and get down a second Remoraid, and we can also attack into this Buzzwole as well. So let's see here. Yeah, I guess we just attach to this Lapras. That seems good to me. We can play Brookwood Hill. So we could also get out Manaphy. I think that is an option as well here. But I think our Volcanion Prism Star is pretty safe from being knocked out next turn, so I'm not really stressing too much about that. So here, what do we do? We could actually potentially go for like a knockout with Lapras this turn if we hit like Aqua Patch or Max Lux or something like that. But at the same time, our opponent has a pretty huge hand. We saw them go for the N, and I'm kind of half tempted just to go for an N ourselves here this turn and just kind of say, you know what, we can safely two-shot this Buzzwole. We're really not in any danger of being knocked out from it. So, you know, let's just take our time. And here we actually would have hit the Aqua Patch, but I'm actually fine with this because we didn't have Manaphy in play either, so I really didn't want to discard all of that energy off that Volcanion Prism Star either. So here we'll get down the water energy. Like I said, a little unfortunate we aren't taking the one-hit knockout, but nevertheless, I think this is fine. We can kind of take our time here since our opponent really isn't threatening anything on their next turn. Okay, so our opponent is going to trade. Okay, we are going to see a Field Blower, which is pretty big. Luckily, we do still have one Choice Band left in hand. That will help us maybe take some knockouts on Zoroarks at some point. But if we get off one more Sauna Blast, then we actually don't even need the Choice Bands for Blizzard Burn for the rest of the game. And we still have Kukui to augment our damage a little bit as well. So our opponent plays Latios in here as well. So all sorts of interesting stuff. They play the Lycanroc line, the Lucario, the Buzzwole, all sorts of crazy stuff. Counter Catcher as well. So I have to see what our opponent is really looking for this turn. If they play Acerola, that actually would be pretty big here, just to ensure that this Buzzwole does not get knocked out. Or if they have a Guzma, being able to take out maybe Remoraid, or maybe even bring up this other Lapras with no energy, would be pretty nice. Oh, here our opponent does have Guzma. And okay, so they're going to go for the fresh Lapras, opting to get the first hit in with it. And I'm actually fine with this because we have Choice Band, we have Kukui, we can actually take a knockout on this Zoroark if they attack into us with it. But they are going to get down a Floatstone. Okay. And going to get a DCE down on this other Zoroark. Makes me wonder why I even attached the Floatstone. Like, maybe just save it. I think that would have been a little bit better here. And what do we do? Okay. I think we just Kukui here. I think that's fine. Oh, and we also hit Octillery, which is really nice. We don't have many cards left in deck, of course, but let's see. What do we do this turn? So we could attack for 120 with Volcanion Prism Star, 150, but that just really doesn't get us very far. We'd be 20 short of a knockout. I almost think we just need to go for the Blizzard Burn with Lapras here. But I don't know. So we could retreat into our Prism Star even. I don't know if our opponent has another Guzma. Oh, but we don't have Manaphy in play. Okay, guys, that is definitely my bad. We had Brookwood Hill in play too. I completely forgot. I was just so used to having free retreat. So we could save this water energy for Jet Geyser and force our opponent to bring up something else. So here we're just going to go for the Sonic Blast. Like I said, I still don't think we're in any danger of being knocked out with this Volcanion Prism Star, so I think we can just Sonic Blast our way to victory here if need be. And here opponent's going to go for the end. I'm fine with that. We have Octillery in play, and we don't have that many cards left in deck anyway, so not too big of a deal. But yeah, super bad misplay, not getting out the Manaphy with the Brookwood Hill. You just get so used to retreating for free with this deck sometimes, you just kind of always assume Manaphy is there. So, like I said, my apologies about that one, guys. But nevertheless, I think this Volcanion Prism Star is in fine shape to just kind of like close out the game with. Even if our opponent uses Rhys beating this turn, we're kind of in an okay spot, I think, nevertheless. So let's see, our opponent only has 3 cards left in deck as well. That is something they're going to have to watch out for. So we're going to get down another energy on this Buzzwole and get a Field Blower, getting rid of Brookwood Hill. That's fine by me, don't really mind that too much. But now our opponent is starting to threaten like an Absorption GX or like a Knuckle Impact, probably more likely. So we'll have to see. What do we do? I guess we bench Manaphy at this point. I think it's probably safe because Lapras and Manaphy could both be knocked out via a Guzma, so really not any danger of a Pokemon being knocked out unnecessarily here, since a Guzma would knock out something either way. But I guess at this point we have to attach to Lapras, guys. We are going to be attachment behind, but really not worried about it too much since we can take a knockout here, and I think we have 1 energy left at our disposal still. Oh, and we get one off the prizes as well, so I'll definitely take that. And now I think we're in like a half decent spot here. Now if our opponent can knock out this Lapras, that would be slightly annoying. But nevertheless, I think we're still in an okay spot. But here opponent is going to end us, that's fine with me. We still have the Octillery left on the board. We have Water Energy to get down, so we can definitely play down our hand a little bit and draw exactly what we need. So your opponent is going to Jet Punch us, knocking out this Volcanion, but unfortunately for them, we do have the energy that we need to take a knockout with Blizzard Burn anyway, so that is going to be the game, I'm pretty sure here. Since we only have the 1 prize left, we'll just go ahead and Blizzard Burn, taking a knockout on this Buzzwole. So that misplay there, forgetting the Manaphy in play, like, was a little bit sketchy, but nevertheless, we still had enough energy to close out the game. But let's try out another game and see what we can make happen. Hopefully, I won't do the same thing there. Alrighty, and yeah, again, another fighting deck box. So again, I'm just gonna assume it's Buzzwole. That's probably the most common thing I've run into on PTCGO at least. So let's see here, Buzzwole and Diancie. Okay, so just as I expected. And let's see what they're going to do. Our first turn actually might be okay. We have Ultra Ball, so we can dump a Water and get down a Lele to grab a proper draw supporter other than this Kukui. And our opponent's just going to Sycamore. Okay, having to discard a Max Elixir definitely really nice for us. And we'll have to see if they get down anything else. I'm sure they'll probably want to establish like a Remoraid or Octillery. So gonna get rid of a Regirock. Okay, gonna grab a Remoraid. Definitely a good idea from our opponent. Octillery, once you get it in play, definitely speeds up your deck a good bit. And actually we hit a Cynthia here, so we don't even have to go for the... Like, we don't even have to go for the, whatchamacallit, the Tapu Lele. So now we can just get down something else. We could get down Lapras, could get down Remoraid. So I might favor that. We even could go for Volcanion Prism Star. But you know what? I think actually, let's go for Lapras here because we have a Water in the discard pile. So if we hit an Aqua Patch or a Max Elixir, I'd prefer to have at least an attacker on the bench. And here we'll just go for the Cynthia. We did have Field Blower. We could have gotten rid of the Floatstone on Diancie Prism Star, but I'm really not worried about it too much right now. I'd rather save it to get rid of Choice Bands. And oh my god, this hand is terrible. Oh. Okay, so at the very least, we need to top deck an Energy or like a Guzma or something. That way we can use Collect, but this hand is complete trash. So our opponent has their Octillery Online. That's got to be nice. I would like one of those right about now. And our opponent is going to get down another Fighting Energy. So right now, Sledgehammer hitting for, was it 50? And our opponent plays an N. Oh my god, we got so bailed out right there. I can't believe it. And here, this hand, not the greatest. We don't have a draw supporter, but we can actually kind of stay alive with this hand. We have the Octillery. We have the Remoraid already. We have Broken Hill. We can even get out Manaphy if we choose to. And here with that Choice Band, they are going to be able to do 80, which is kind of scary. So let's get down a Remoraid. We can... Just trying to think, are we going to let this Lapras get knocked out? And that's kind of what I'm thinking here. We can let this active Lapras get knocked out while powering up this, this fresh one on the bench. And here, I think we just pass. We bench both Remoraids just in case our opponent does have a Guzma to try to take them out or something like this. But I think they're going to be probably just tempted to just take out this active Lapras. But nevertheless, I wanted to get down both of them just in case. I didn't want us to get down one get knocked out, and then us have to Sycamore away this Octillery. But it's not the end of the world too, because if we can establish 2 Octilleries, that's definitely not a bad thing either. So our opponent is going to go for a Guzma, so they definitely would have had the option to do so if they chose to. But here they are going to get the first hit in on this fresh Lapras, which is definitely not ideal. So we're going to see 100 damage coming down. And okay, we have Brookwood Hill. We can get out... I might even get out a fresh Lapras here instead of Manaphy, since we can already take out... Or we could even go for Volcanion Prism Star, but it doesn't really hit the numbers we need to right now. And we whiff the Max Elixir, which is crazy. And here we'll Abyssal Hand, draw some more cards before we Sycamore. Okay, and... man, I really don't want to get rid of this Aquapatch now. I'm kind of wishing we would have Sycamored first. But you know what, we still have a good bit of Max Elixirs and Aquapatches left, so let's just go for it. And okay, we have Max Elixir, we can get that down on that Lapras and start setting up that fresh one. And what do? We have Ultra Ball, but do we even need to play it? We could throw a Water Energy and discard, but we're already going to have some water in the discard, but we get rid of Kukui and Sycamore. Okay, we can just go for Octillery. I think this is fine as well. And we'll Abyssal Hand. We'll keep that bench spot open for a Lele if need be. Hit another Max Elixir, definitely good. And we actually have this one work, so we're definitely going to be in a decent little spot here. So we're going to Blizzard Burn. Unfortunately, our opponent is only going to give us 1 prize off of these baby Buzzwoles. And next turn, they're probably going to be able to take a knockout with this other Buzzwole. They just need a strong energy, if I remember correctly. Or just a basic energy. They can take a knockout with the second attack on this baby Buzzwole. And here we're going to see a Sycamore. So one thing we have yet to see yet is a Rockruff or a Buzzwole GX. So I'd imagine this turn we'd probably see one. We have a Brookwood Hill in play, so they could just get that back in play if they chose to. And they have Super Odds, so let's see. Are they going to opt to get back the baby Buzzwole or just some energy? Oh, going for the Regirock. I forgot they did discard that. And they did forget to Brookwood Hill, so I do think that is a slight little misplay on our opponent. But nevertheless, we will take it. So we're going to promote this fresh Lapras, and luckily we have an N in hand. And an Aquapatch as well, okay? So let's Brook, let's see what we have. Let's just go for the Lapras. We don't even need Manaphy right now. So here we'll go for the Aquapatch, start setting up yet another Lapras. And yeah, we just go for the N. I think we keep this bench spot open for Manaphy at this point. Just cycle between our Laprases for the rest of the game here. Go for another Max Elixir, and this one works very nice. So next turn, we will be able to pull off the whole Lapras Blizzard Burn loop. Here we'll get a Choice Band down on that bench one, just in case we do see a Buzzwole GX hit the field. And we will... yeah, we just Blizzard Burn here, I think. Yeah, no reason not to. We'll take the knockout. Unfortunately, we are in a bad spot in the sense that we will activate Beast Ring for our opponent now, and they will be able to potentially take a knockout with a Buzzwole GX. They will need a Buzzwole and I believe Beast Ring Strong Energy to take a knockout, because right now with Diancie Prism Star, Knuckle Impact will only do 180, so they would need either Strong Energy or the Choice Band. So they are going to get down the Buzzwole, kind of as expected. We're going to see a Max Elixir. Alrighty, but that is not a strong energy, so I'm fine with seeing these basic energies. That is completely okay with me. We're going to see Abyssal Hand. And here is the B-String. So they are going to be able to set up this Buzzwole, but they still need a strong energy or a choice band. That's going to be the big thing. They've already gone through 2 choice bands, I believe, because I think each of the Buzzwoles we knocked out had a choice band, and they probably only play 1, maybe 2 more at most. But I think playing 1 is probably a safe assumption. But here we're going to see an Ultra Ball. Oh, actually, Regirock would actually ensure that they could take a knockout, because Knuckle Impact will do 160 right now, 180 with Diancie, and then 190 with the Regirock. So here they're going to whiff an Elixir, but they do have another B-String. And just a single fighting energy. That's really interesting here. Maybe they have like a bunch in their hand or something that could have potentially happened and prevented them from searching out some additional energies. So do they have the Regirock, the Choice Band, or the Strong Energy? And our opponent might have messed up grabbing that Buzzwole GX, or that second Buzzwole GX instead of Regirock. I think that would have been pretty nice here. But they still could have Regirock in hand. They could maybe be thinking, do I really want to commit this last bench spot to this Regirock instead of something like a Rockruff, or if they even play something like that, or... Okay, but they are committing the Strong Energy, so they must not have had the Regirock or the Choice Band. So this is an instance where not getting that Regirock, it's kind of biting our opponent a little bit. It's forcing them to commit an extra unnecessary energy. And they are going to go down to 2 prizes, but nevertheless, I think we're in a good spot. We can safely attach this energy. I feel like it's safe to bench the Prism Star at this point, because that'll still free us up a bench spot. And I feel like do we even put down Manaphy? Like, we can. I feel like we're safe, because after this turn, our opponent won't be able to B-String anyways. And yep, we'll just Blizzard Burn. Now the only downside is that we don't have another attacker ready to go for next turn, but we do have 2 Guzmas, so we actually can get around the Blizzard Burn, not letting us able to attack a little part of the attack. So we can attach just a Water Energy, maybe to Volcanion Prism Star or this other Lapras, and play Guzma to allow us to freely retreat back into this powered up Lapras. So let's see what our opponent's going to do. I think they've gone through at least 3 Max Elixirs. I don't know if they have another. Oh, they've gone through all 4, so we are actually completely safe from a Knuckle Impact this turn. And if our opponent doesn't have a way to, you know, prevent this Buzzwole from getting knocked out, they're going to be in some trouble. Now, one thing that could be bad is if they just retreat into this Buzzwole and attack into this Lapras. That actually could be slightly problematic for us, but we actually have... Like, if they do that and then end us, that would actually probably be the worst case scenario, because right now we actually have a way to get around that thanks to Volcanion Prism Star, but if they do end us and take away the Guzma, the water energies, we're going to be in a bad spot. So we'll have to see. So they're probably just thinking, like, do I promote this Buzzwole or not? Because I feel like it's riskier leaving it on the bench. And here they are going to go for the Sycamore, so we're not going to see an end. So right now, I'm pretty sure we do have game. Our opponent is just going to Jet Punch us. And now what we can do is we can use Jet Geyser to discard energy from our hand and force this Buzzwole out of the active spot. And then we just Guzma it right back up. So Volcanion Prism Star, we haven't shown off its ability too much in this series, but luckily it did come in handy in this game. So here we're going to go for the Guzma, bring that thing right back up, and now we can take our last knockout with Blizzard Burn here. So Lapras taking a game over Buzzwole, which a lot of people do consider to be probably the best deck in format. So definitely a good feeling right there. Overall, I have to say I have been pretty impressed with the deck so far. Like I said earlier in the video, it hits for a lot of really great numbers against some of the popular Pokemon in the current metagame. So if you guys are going to any Forbidden Light legal events in standard format, I do think Lapras is actually an archetype that is worth considering. But as usual, guys, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you can support this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up something from our online store at rarecandytcg.com, it would mean a lot. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.